The Hustleshare podcast is sponsored by Aspire. Trusted by 15,000 businesses across Asia, Aspire offers a unified suite of financial services, allowing businesses to make fast international payments to 130 plus countries, global payments at the best FX rates, and open multi-currency accounts in US dollars, euros, Great British pound, Singaporean dollars, Indonesian rupiah, and more. All accessible on via a single user-friendly platform, Aspire. And also by Uno Digital Bank, a full-spectrum digital bank licensed and regulated by the BSP. Manage your money and maximize its potential growth with a secure and trusted bank that fits right in your pocket. Open a savings or time deposit account, pay bills, shop with the Uno Virtual Debit MasterCard, or apply for a loan in the Uno mobile app today. The Hustleshare podcast is sponsored by Lark, the leading super app for work in Southeast Asia. Frustrated with juggling and paying for multiple tools for work? Hate mixing personal and business messages? Improve your team's productivity by 10 times with Lark, which combines business chat, email, video conferencing, calendar, project management, real-time translation, and much more into one super app. Trusted by companies like Xiaomi, Glints, Kumu, and Mamaluz. Get it for free at larksuite.com today. This podcast is brought to you by Salmon, your trusted source for all your financial needs. Whether you're looking for easy financing with low down payments and fast approval, or seeking high returns with their 8.88% interest on time deposits, Salmon has you covered. Visit Salmon.ph today and discover how they can help you achieve your financial goals. Rural Bank of Santa Rosa Laguna Incorporated is regulated by the BSP. For any concerns, email consumeraffairs@bsp.gov.ph. Deposits are insured by PDIC up to 500,000 pesos per depositor.
They were like telling us, "Oy, if you go out of Pasig, you would commute. We will not pay for your apartment. You would commute." And then UST back then, bahay na siya, di ba?
Yep.
I was like,
It's a new level of resilience, though. You learn how to swim.
I'm sure.
And do a Euro step on planks.
Welcome to Hustleshare, the podcast that features the daily grinds of unique hustlers around the world to show not our differences, but that our hustles are very much alike. Now here's your host, Ronster Baetiong.
Welcome to the latest episode of the Share Podcast. We finally got a full circle moment because I bumped into this guy in one of those underground events that we're doing, meeting syndicates of the Manila crime scene. No, just kidding. So shout out to the guys of Fulfill and to Dennis Velasco, who got allowed me to meet you guys because I wasn't supposed to be there. I was just driving my wife to a random event. And then they said, "Come up." I'm like, "Okay, I will come up." And then they told me there's a free burger. Okay, I will really come up because there's a free burger. But again, randomly bumped into you, to this guy, who again, apparently one of those poor souls that listen to Hustleshare. So, so again, full circle moment because now instead of listening, you are now talking in front of the mic. So without further ado, let's welcome to the show the founder and CEO of Pahatid.pH, Mr. Chris Guzman. Chris, welcome to the show. Finally, you're here.
And thank you very much. Finally, that we're able to do this for such a quick time. And it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you as well. And again, sorry for outing you in the syndicate. Just kidding. Some random back office in Pasig, very syndicate-like in how you guys did. Just kidding.
Not
but
with
again,
Vico Soto. No, not with Vico.
That's why I'm very impressed. How did you do it? In Pasig pa. Okay. All right. No, just kidding. So shout out to Fulfill. If you need some place to actually store your stuff and get things done and you do end-to-end e-commerce support for the back end, Fulfill. Fullfill. Okay, shout out. There you go. I will send you the invoice for the shout out after this. Just kidding. But again, Chris is all about you and Pahatid.ph. But before I get carried away, I need to ask you the $1 million question. Chris, what's your hustle?
All right, thanks, Ron. Well, allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Chris.
Jay-Z. Are you Jay-Z? You need a beat? Okay.
I'm the CEO founder of Pahatid.ph. We're a business-to-business delivery solutions provider here in Metro Manila and covering the other key cities nearby. We started out during the pandemic in 2020 during the hard lockdown. I used to work back in the US, but I'll talk about it later. But the inspiration out of Pahatid came about during the hard lockdown. I don't know if you guys remember when we were all locked down in our houses, doing nothing but online, watching K-dramas or whatnot.
Viva Max.
There was this viral video. So,
Just kidding. Not me. Okay.
But in one of those weeks or months, suddenly there came about there were viral videos of courier providers who I will not name, who were mishandling products, out of their warehouses, out of their delivery riders.
Okay.
And for me, someone coming back home from the US, I've been away for like 5 years, although I visited twice.
Yep.
When I moved to the US, that was like a hard kill on my end because everyone is going through a lot. I was also furloughed or taken out of my job. Kaya
wow.
Yep. And then at that time, seeing people who have jobs, but then they were doing it incorrectly or abusing the products in that manner, I'm like, hey, you guys should feel blessed. You have a job. I don't have a job.
Yeah.
I came from the US. You guys are local. You have a job. I don't have a job.
Yeah.
So that was my, kind of like one of my aha moments. But then the real aha moments came about when back in the hard lockdown era, we were trying to book for our deliveries, whatever it is, whether a Pahatid or just a delivery service. And it takes forever. That's one. Second, of course, we were primarily concerned with the health issues kasi we didn't want to expose. Remember during those times, we would put baldes or like tables in front of our gates.
Yep.
Papatong na lang dyan. And then you have all these, face shields and blah, blah. So for me, the only insight that I had back then was like, okay, I would need to have like a regular delivery rider who would serve the household. Because back then, when we all moved in back to our house, there were at least an average of like 6 to 10 deliveries per day. It may be food or like, again, for whatever reason of delivery. So my aha moment there was that why don't I get the numbers of the delivery riders? I'll get 2. And every time that we would need the delivery, we would just call or text them directly. And of course, I was telling them, Kuya, I'll just contact you. I'll give you a higher price. Tip na yon. It's just like a means to like help. Right. And they were so grateful. I think, and they keep on like saying, this is better, Kuya. Mas okay to kasi mas kumikita ako ng malaki. Hindi ko na kailangan magantay ng booking. But then at the back of my mind, I was already, okay, so there's a pain point that's going on between the rider and the delivery services. Until a couple of days passed by, I generously share the contacts to friends and families. Hey, I have 3 delivery riders who I have direct contact with, tried and tested, very useful, efficient, good in communication, and safe, most importantly. And they were like, sure, yeah, please send it to me. So the weeks passed by again. I wasn't making money out of it. I mean, it wasn't a business. It was just a generous offer to like share the content.
Trying to make ends meet for everybody. Yep.
Exactly, right? I mean, again, hard lockdown. If I would take you back, guys, to that era. Until one day, I have a friend who was my very first client who had a friend that organically reached to her and then told me, hey, Chris, what's up? Are you in the Philippines? And I was like, yeah, I've been here for almost 2 months now since the hard lockdown. Why? What's up? I heard you have like a delivery service. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? So it reached to me na you have the delivery riders and please help me out. I have 4,000 packages to deliver that got stuck during the lockdown up to that time. and I needed to deliver them all at your own pace. Just let me know the process or the system if you have whatever, and I will and whatnot. I was excited. That's one. I was scared at the same time. But then for me, okay, this could be like a sign, you know. And there came Pahatid.ph, you know. Pahatid.ph, my goals, my only two goals back then. One, to address the viral videos that I have seen during the viral videos of mishandling packages. And then second, it was a passion over profit type of project wherein I thought, you know what? With that 4,000 packages, ang daming matutulungan. There'd be a lot of riders, or at least a decent number of riders who would earn out of that deliveries. And that was it. But then I told to my friend, hey, I don't have a company. I don't have any platform. I didn't even have like a social media. I didn't even have a brand. The Pahatid.ph initially was supposedly pabili.ph or padeliver.ph. But then when I just quick and dirty research, okay, there were already like keywords among the top companies. So, but Pahatid wasn't like really a thing.
Yeah.
And the rest was history. I mean, of course, happy to further expand the story in a bit, but that was how Pahatid.ph was born.
I love how you actually set it up and you really went straight to the core of what startups do, especially in Pahatid, which is solving a problem. But before we talk about solving a problems and how you actually built the business and accidentally called it actually Pahatid.ph, but you already had a real business that's you're going through. But before we even talk about the business, before we even talk about all these things, we need to establish and discover how you built your hustle. So I need you to buckle up, my man, real quick, because we're going to have to ride the Hustleshare time machine. And we are back. So technically, again, I'm looking at your LinkedIn. I think where the Hustleshare time machine dropped us off is somewhere in between Shaw Boulevard and ADB Avenue at the corner, all the way through LSM.
Oh, yes. We're in school, brown cows back then. I don't know. Are you from LSM?
No, I'm not. I know a couple of LSM boys.
I heard in one of our podcasts. Yeah.
No, I know a couple of LSM boys who became. No, actually, I even have a team. You're probably batchmates with him. His name is Hector Badua.
Boris.
He became my teammate in UST. There.
Oh, yeah. He transferred to us then.
Yes. He was not. He got pirated. And then Wawi Karangal stayed put, along with Mr. Kian Cipriano, the stars. There you go. That batch. That batch of peeps, technically.
The key stars of LSM basketball. Did you know about Wawi? But maybe I'll just share it to you.
No,
later.
I heard. So Wawi became a pretty good friend. It's sad. So R.I.P. Wawi. Shout out. So if there's some LSM boys, shout out to you. But before we talk about LSM, I want to understand first, bro. What are the first exposures of hustling, or what was the initial setting of when you were growing up, and how did you see hustling around you?
Yeah, I was born and raised here in the Philippines.
Okay.
LSM boy, Ortigas boy, Pasig boy, certified half of my life. LSM days, I guess, like the first hustle that really contributed to where I am right now would be the sense of leadership. On my 6th grade, I was fortunate enough I'm not a famous kid. I mean, with my looks or whatever, I'm not that kind of guy. Didn't play basketball, nor the best in math or whatever. I'm just a normal kid, you know.
What's the bat? There's a bat. I feel like there's a bat. What's the bat?
Part of the top 15 in class, but not the top 5 or top 1 academic.
You're the guy that all the basketball boys relied on.
Or maybe the water boy, diba?
Oh, no.
The but there was that, to be fair, I would always get elected to be part of the class officers, you know, in those top positions. So I guess at an early age, related to entrepreneurship or I have already realized my sense of leadership. So always like the president, VP, the secretary. Until 6th grade, I was fortunate to be voted to be the PRO, if I'm not mistaken. But it's one of those top positions amongst the student body of grade school.
The whole grade school, not just a class.
Grade school. It was a population of 1,000 kids. And the typical politics back then, we would do room-to-room campaign.
Of course.
Didn't have social media, so it was very tough. So a lot of like confidence building, communication building. So those were the good times. So that was sixth grade. Till high school, 4 years of high school. I mean, the typical
And you're
years
still LSM in high school?
Yep, all the way. Loyalty hard, 13 years. From preparatory or kinder even. Until fourth year, I mean, first year, second year to like fourth year. First, I mean, I became better academically from not from the top 15. Then I became on the part of the top 10 consistently. But again, not the best in math, nor the best in ganyan. Best in Filipino and best in debate.
Okay, very good. Okay.
At least
Jose
there were,
Rizal is proud of you. Okay.
Diba? But the leadership was still there. You know, consistent class officer till fourth year, high school, which is the last year. I was selected as the president of the student body.
Wow. Okay, I want to just digress a little and do a deep dive because for those who don't know, Lourdes School Mandaluyong is one of the select few. I'm not sure now, but back then, it's an all-boys school. And people that I know that grew up in an all-boys school develop that type of environment where it's puberty and testosterone and filled with in a confines of a classroom. Bullying and just boys being boys is common. It's an environment. It's hard to not be toughened in that environment. And for someone that I know that you become a leader all your life, right? So it's great pa nga, you ended up as a president. I eventually became, the only time I became a responsible class president ever was in college na. I was already third year college, fourth year, because I had a choice I had a turnaround, a career turnaround. But before, I was a varsity guy, asshole, but class clown. And I remember this in high school. So in my first school, we don't have class presidents. It's a weird school. It's a progressive school. But in high school in UST, dude, 4 years straight, I was always PRO. Okay.
the life of the party.
I have so many friends, and little did I know that apparently that gift of gab that I developed in high school is still the same gift that I would harness very much today. Okay. I want to understand those skills that you develop because you don't become elected as president or a class leader if you didn't have those talents. And it's innate. I look back at it like, you know what? I'm thankful to God that He gave me those baseline skills because now networking comes easy because I've been doing this forever, right? Walk into a room, own the fucking room, easy, right? What were those skills that you had foundationally that eventually you harnessed, especially as you became a leader that led you to become president of the whole batch?
That was a great question for me to look back of those wonder years, you know, more than a decade ago. I would say I'm just an average kind of kid. Again, I wasn't the most academic person, just average, you know.
And leaders don't need to be academically excellent, by the way.
Yep. You know, those stories and, you know, those top 1 to 3s of the class, where are they now? We don't know. I mean, I
Still
hope that
not
they're doing great
allowing
life,
people to copy them.
Exactly. Diba? So I guess like some of the soft skills that really was a trademark would be the trait of being a people's person. I'm very approachable, I guess very relevant. Again, people would always think that if you're just an average Joe, that you'd be, you know, just those kind of people, quote unquote. But then most of the time, or at least by experience, if you're the average kind of guy, you're the most remarkable guy. People would remember you because people can relate to you. You know, I don't know with this generation of social media and whatnot, but that I acquired from my parents, but mostly my mom, because she's an HR professional before she established her own company. She would always do the talk to us, like, keep it calm. You know, you don't need to like fight back. Think through it. You know, growing up, she would always remind all those words. And so that people's person thing was one. And then second, I mean, I'm very friendly, you know. I mean, I am not a pleaser, but then
Mhm.
very friendly. I mean, I would talk to those different segments of being a student.
Yeah.
You were correct. All boys school. Let's face it, back in the day, I hope I don't get canceled. We were a table of those so-called dead kids,
Yes.
the quiet types, you know. But then there's also like the girly type, you know, the
Mhm.
Barbies, but
Mhm.
also friends with them. And of course, the athletes, the basketball jocks, the
Yup.
academics, or the nerdy ones. Then just the average people, like me.
Yeah.
To my point, I'm able to like relate to them authentically. I mean, again, my time didn't. I think Friendster came about fourth year high school, but
Mhm.
it wasn't a peer or social media pressure. So
Yeah.
relationships were very authentic, were very organic. You know, I guess the only skill that you need is to just have the guts to like talk to
Mhm.
people, which was tough back then,
Right.
bro.
Correct.
So yeah, it's just the compassion of being able to relate to people.
Mhm.
Um, was one of the most vital traits that I would think that led me to become those roles. You know, the
Mhm.
president, which is why people have entrusted me to do those leadership. Like people would also
Yeah.
listen. You know, boys school, diba? It's so hard to discipline. I
Correct.
would even remember, I was also bullied my time, but I didn't take it seriously. It was
Right. It's how you actually the bullying in school. If you
part of growing up.
I got bullied so bad that I became a bully as well.
Me too. I became
Like
a
you have
side
to fight
bully.
back because if you're just gonna take it in the ass,
Oh
you
yeah,
are gonna be you're gonna be eaten.
diba? But good times. I mean,
Right.
looking back at those bullying times, I don't think if there's some bully incident that made me have that trauma. I mean, I don't
Yes.
blame other kids, but you know, to my point, to our point,
Yeah.
it's part of life, and
Yep.
that's the best part of life.
No, and
So
that's the best training that you can have
yes,
in real life because it's ruthless out there. If you already have that experience being a leader, not being able to take pressure, having the discipline, having those responsibilities, those are solid foundational skills. And the reason I'm asking this is I wanted to understand the skill stack that you have. So if leadership and the gift of gab and being able to talk to people is your foundation, man, if you build on top of that, my God, that's a solid ass foundation that you've built. Because similarly, same with me. I wasn't a leader. I just felt always before that you're right. I know everybody. I'm everybody's friend. The only difference in UST is we have girls. Sorry, we have the hot chicks.
we also have girls teachers, but then who are also like half
No,
and half.
no, that's not the same. I'm talking about girls. Hot, cute girls, man. So that's not you're gonna hit on your teacher. Imagine the ratio, 500:1, right? Good luck. Plus, that teacher is gonna get fired easily once they found out that's it. But what I'm talking about is this is what people miss out in school. Okay, people always think, in hindsight, being 2020, that school is a competition of academics because that's how it's programmed to be. Oh, you're
Yeah.
gonna be with like right now. Everybody in school is with honors. Like who
I
still
know.
doesn't have honors? Like before, yes, there's only top three. One top
Right.
first honor, second honor, third honor. That's it. And that's the nature of the beast. Now, like everybody has honors. Like what? And all that. And that's not real life. And if you come out there, there's always gonna be a hierarchy. But that's the hierarchy that the system built to gather or to rank students. But in reality, school is the best ground for you to be able to test out several things that
Mhm.
you will need in real life. Number one, problem solving skills. I mastered my problem solving skills in school pa lang because I always got in trouble. It's self inflicted, but I always was able to talk my way out, end up in guidance only, blah blah blah, whatever. Sweet talk my way out because I was putting myself in a lot of trouble. So problem solving. Number two, dude, building a network. I know who to run to when I need help.
Yes.
When I need backup, oh, there's someone making angas to me or teammates,
Mhm.
senior teammates or whatever. Hey, can you help me write this love letter, or can you help me to write or make this cute whatever to this girl that I'm courting? So you know how to leverage people's skills and also reciprocate when you
Yeah.
need them.
Mhm.
That's real life out there. And third, at the end of the day, it's being able to become responsible. Grades never reflect the ability to show how responsible you are. Some people that I know that are just academically wired to just outperform everybody and not be a good team player, right? When they get in real life, they struggle
Oh, yeah.
because they don't know how to become a vital part of the team. They look at
Yes.
people as competition instead of teammates trying to achieve the same goal. And the best testament of how you've built that up, man, is because people choose you to become the leader, even if you're not top one and you're not maaasahan in pakopya. Okay.
Thank you. Wow, those were sweet words. In fact, I remember when I won the presidency of the student body, it was even a landslide. It was a landslide win. So,
Wow. Did you dance budots ba? That's why?
ano ba time natin? Ocho
Ocho,
ata.
ocho.
Casey and Jojo.
Pamelawan. There.
No, I don't think if I dance, but yeah, I strongly agree with you. And looking back, talagang those were the contributing experiences as to where we are right now. And that was high school till I graduated high school, went to UANP, University
Yep,
of
you just
Asian.
crossed freaking ADB Avenue.
I never wanted to be away from Pasig. In fact, like, quick backstory. Well, I asked for the entrance exams for all the top four. Back then, either just LaSalle, UST, UP, Ateneo. I only applied for two and then kept the money for the other two.
Are you kidding me?
I didn't want to go that far. I mean, my parents just was that they were like telling us, okay, if you go out of Pasig, you would commute. We will not pay for your apartment. You would commute. And then UST back then, bahay na siya, diba?
Yep.
I was like,
It's a new level of resilience, though. You learn how to swim.
I'm sure.
And go to do a Euro step on planks.
So not for me, although daming Lerdicians who went to UP to UST.
Yep.
UP obviously I didn't make it. But anyway, so UANP, to you what you were saying earlier of growing up with an all boys school, surprisingly, and among our friends and batchmates back then who went to the same university, we were like, to be fair with us, even though that we grew up with just an all boys, we're pretty good in working or being friends with girls.
Yep.
I mean, third year, fourth year high school, we would have pocket. What was the term?
Soiree. Who was your soiree mate in LSM?
We had a soiree with Assumption Antipolo. Oops,
okay.
Sorry. Assumption Antipolo, and nakapoveda kami ng once. Nakachamba.
Wow!
I know, right? That was a progress.
Poveda.
Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
People whoever.
It's
Mel
Poveda.
Nava is from Poveda. I was like, Mel, is it really true that the chant is P, Poveda, O, Oveda, V, Veda? No, like, no, she slapped me on my. I was like, no, that's stupid. No.
It's a joke, but I can totally remember those mga jokes about Povedans. But yeah,
Which girls had? Which school had hotter girls? Assumption Antipolo, Sumulong Avenue, or another fellow Ortigas campus?
I mean, yung traits ng mga taga-bundok na Assumption, medyo with mga Lerdicians eh. So medyo there was may click. In fact, at least I think one batchmate ended up marrying an Assumption Antipolo from that story.
Wow.
But
I
anyway,
thought it was they married a nun. Okay, just not the nun, just a batchmate. Okay, good.
yeah, so coming from Lourdes or Lourdes, it was, I would say that I was pretty confident in mingling with kids from different schools.
Yeah.
Of course, it was tough initially for like mga Ateneans, LaSalle, of course. I'm sure you would remember the hierarchy of all boys
I know
school.
where I fell in USM. I was like, tap 4. Okay, there you go. That's where we are.
uh, but yeah, so UANP, of course, I also won a position for a student
Oh.
representative for second year college. So yun, medyo na-carry ko pa, but I didn't
Mm.
run for the higher offices anymore. I
Mm.
felt like, okay, I needed to diversify my experience. I didn't want to
Mm.
be locked in with that political aspect of things.
Okay.
Since third
What do you
year,
take up in UANP?
marketing communications, IMC.
Mm.
That was a tough one. And yeah, so third year till I graduated, I focused on doing mga events, joining some orgs, essentially doing anything marketing related. And
Mhm.
that's where I further honed my marketing business skills. And the rest was history, college time, but not much highlights in the sense that bullying back then, I guess when you get into college, you're more mature. Well, of course, like siguro quick few memories, the experience of courtship,
Yep.
get relationships that somehow, contributed to the experiences. But then,
Mhm.
yeah, to that point, that was my college years. Until I graduated, I was one of the first guys who got a job. Like we
Nice.
ended up in March. I started applying in February. I got a job on the end of March. So didn't really have that proper long vacation. And then our graduation was in June.
Mhm.
We graduate. I think common naman pala yan. But
Yep.
anyway, so I just quickly landed into a job because at that time, I was hungry to like earn money, to experience.
To get out of Ortigas for the first time of your life.
The funny thing was, no, I didn't get out of Ortigas. My first
Hell?
6-month job was
What the
just the
hell?
building across Lourdes, the tall, I forgot, but
We're
just
near siya? Or
no,
across the
literally the
corner?
middle stoplight ng Pasig and LSM,
Oh.
the tall building. I
Yeah.
forget, but it was a brief 6-month job stint.
Okay.
But anyhow, still Ortigas. And I did PR assistant, PR intern.
Mm.
It was quick. I didn't really count that as a major job experience.
Mm.
But then the first major job was to be a sales rep
Mm.
out of a food company. And that experience made a lot of sense. Confidence was built out there. The sense of business development was thoroughly built up there.
Mm.
But I think the one that really struck me the most was the sense of discipline. Because it was a Chinese-owned company.
Mm. Is this the Oleo Fats one?
Yes.
Mhm.
Shout out to all your fats. They're the biggest food supplier, oil and
Of?
fat supplier of
Oh.
the food industry in the country.
Wow.
So if you like the taste of the McDonald's French fries, it's their oils.
Wow.
Yep. Aldi
That's
and
amazing.
all the top food corporations. So
FNB, this is with your game. What does a sales
yep.
grind like?
Yep.
Selling a key product that a lot of people use. What were you selling? How were you selling it? And is there a quota? And you develop discipline and acumen towards that. That must have been intense.
It was intense, but I would say on a more personal level. Because professionally, quotas, of course, they were there. I mean, it's sales, of course. But there were more of like a sitting pretty kind of like quota. Because it's the basic commodity, The clients would just keep on ordering. And we're the only sole supplier that sells high quality oils and fats. But then the experiences on the job were developing new products. So back then, I was in charge of like a few innovations on the food industry, like say with the McFlurries. I don't know if you remember those McFlurry chalk nut with whatever McFlurry.
Oh, shit.
Different.
You really are the key of why I gained so much weight. It's you pala.
I also gained weight. And then back then, I would bring in some mga R&D products to my house. And then my family was like, what's this chalk nut McFlurry? Like, confidential yan. Hindi mo pwede yan. Hindi pa launch yan. But those are some of the challenges in the food industry, but I was exposed to those top 5, top 10, doing the end-to-end sales tasks, like from, of course, product introduction, accounts management, to collection. to like
Yes, getting that real money.
getting the real money, writing it into one OR, talking to the masusungit accountants. I've experienced that, and waiting to be countered and to the collection time from north to south. Also, I enjoyed since I was covering whole Metro Manila. I was given a car, and dun ko
Wow, you're out of Ortigas na. Congrats.
that was the only time that I went out. But dun ko natutunan. Somehow, when I thought about now with Pahatid, and I was like, okay, that makes sense. Why I know a lot of places in Metro Manila.
Because you were grinding.
Exactly. From Malabon to Leon Ginto to like
Lagare. That's what we call it, our salespeople. I also was like that. But by default, I really was Lacochero na by default. But my sense of direction really in terms of the back streets. I don't need Google Maps in Metro Manila. I swear to God. Who uses that? I know I in my heart of hearts, I have an in GPS. I know when it's going to be traffic, what time, what's the situation going to be. I even know the kainans, which is the most important thing. Where to eat cheap and where to eat good food. Right.
I got outdated when I moved to the US in 2016, but still I know the places, just the except those restaurants. But anyway, so that was a layoff at. I quit after 2 years and then moved into an FMCG company.
Got it.
Called Rapid Edge. Filipino owned as well. They're the makers of Beach Hut Sunblock.
Okay, now shout out to them, but let's take a cliffhanger because we need to take a break real quick. And when we come back, we will now talk about the hustle of how he did it in Dragon Edge because he stayed here for a while up until he decided to move into the States. And I want to understand how that was like up until how you created Pahatid.ph. But let's talk about that more after the break. Hey hustlers, how are companies like Pizza Hut, Tech in Asia, and Love Bonito saving $28,000 a year? Well, Aspire is an all-in-one finance solution designed for modern businesses. Over 15,000 companies across Asia are using Aspire to streamline business financial processes, saving both time and money. Now, Aspire understands the demand of your business, and these are their offers. Lightning fast international transfers enabling money movement across 130 plus countries, the best FX rates with no hidden fees ensuring transparency, and multi-currency accounts in US dollars, euros, Great British pounds, Singaporean dollar, Indonesian rupiah, and more, facilitating transactions in multiple currencies. And guess what? Opening an account can be done 100% online, making access to a global business account effortless. Aspire works with thousands of startups across Asia, offering an easy way to open a business account to receive investments from VCs. Aspire is backed by global top-tier VCs including Sequoia and Y Combinator and has been recognized by CB Insights as one of the top 100 most promising fintechs globally. Join over 15,000 businesses across Asia that have already made the switch to Aspire and experience the future of business finance. For more details, visit aspireapp.com. That's ASPIREAPP.com. Again, that's aspireapp.com. And let's make business finance simple, integrated, and borderless together. Hey hustlers, money issues and financial stress are a reality we all face, and ignoring them won't make them disappear. That's why our sponsor Salmon is committed to making managing your finances easy and more accessible. With Salmon financing, you can shop to over 2,000 Salmon partner stores nationwide and bring home your dream purchases today with a low down payment starting at just 10%. Plus, it's super easy to apply. Just one valid ID is needed and you can get approved right then and there. No need to wait for payday. Just take what you need now and pay for it over time. And if you're someone that's looking for ways to grow your money, Salmon's time deposit accounts at the Rural Bank of Santa Rosa, Laguna, which is regulated by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, offers a fantastic 8.88% interest rate for a 12-month term for deposits of more than 500,000 pesos. That's currently the highest rate in the Philippines. Deposits are also insured by the PDIC with up to 500,000 pesos per depositor, so you know your money is safe and secure. It's definitely a great way to make your money work harder for you effortlessly. Since launching in 2022, Salmon has raised over $60 million and is backed by industry giants like the IFC, ADQ, and Northstar Group, ensuring they're a reliable partner in your financial journey. So whether you need financing, credit, or high-return savings option, Salmon has you covered. So visit salmon.ph today to see how they can help you achieve your financial goals with ease. Again, that's salmon.ph. Finance made easy with Salmon. we're back from the break. We are still with Chris Guzman, who then told us the hustle pre-Pahatid.ph of how he was able to get his gift of gab, solidify it and turn it into a full stack sales hustle. Because that is similarly, that's my stack, my leadership stack, or I mean my skill stack that I've developed. Obviously, it's again kapal ng mukha. That's a that's a gift of gab. I can network very well, which I also got from my mom. But after college, no, actually during college, I added one stack on top of that, which added empathy towards how it is. And the most important stack that I've actually created in my life, which is because I worked in a call center.
Yeah.
Kasi if I talk to you in the normal in Tagalog, you will never believe me. Okay? I would be Diwata Paris to all of you. So I've learned how to speak English and enunciate. This is till now you can tell this is my main skill of how I'm able to persuade. And then on top of that, after the call center hustles, I did that for a few years. I became student leader. That's when I became a proper president na. And then after college, I did call center again real quick. And then I did Groupon. That's when I learned how to sell. So imagine that skill stack that we were able to really get. And that's also on top. And what I want to do that. So you talk about audio fats. I want to discuss. In sales, it's a game of grit. Because it's a game of rejection. So if you did that in audio fats, what was that like when you're already in Dragon Edge Group? Because you became country manager of this in Vietnam.
I would say that job stint in Vietnam was the root of all these developments in my life. You know, best time of my life. So from Dragon Edge, personally, I thought like, okay, I wanted to get away from F&B. Because again, since they were the leading company, I felt like I was just sitting pretty. Customers would reorder and then just keep on like asking if we have that and this. Okay. I didn't feel the challenge until I found out Beach Hut, applied to it, consumer goods. I wanted to do that. I was also like growing up, I was with cousins and siblings who were working in FMCG companies, Unilever, Procter & Gamble's, Unilab, etc. And then for me, that was the pressure for me. And then go to the inspiration. And until I landed now with Beach Hut.
Sorry for those youngins who don't understand what Beach Hut is. Tito, can you explain what Beach Hut is? I get it. The kids don't know what Beach Hut is. So please educate us with history.
Beach Hut, shout out to Dennis and Emily, the owners of Beach Hut. We should sponsor podcast and give them some. But Beach Hut is a Filipino-owned company. The makers of this mostly have niche products, like baby laundry detergent, cycles and cradle. In fact, during our time, I don't know if you remember, Ron, you remember the brand called Bliss, the lubricant?
Of course. Suki and FHM. Oh, there you go.
FHM, exactly. It's them.
Shout out, anyway, I remember. Sorry, I'm just going to digress. I'm going to digress because everything comes full circle. So the owner of FHM is Summit Media.
Yes.
And who basically created Summit Media is Miss Liza Gokongwei. Okay? So it's a Gokongwei of Kaya founders, of the Gokongwei family.
Shout out to them.
And one time I went to, we were at an intimate startup meetup with Kaya. I said, Miss Liza, you know what? I want to thank you because you gave me a really good childhood, adolescent life.
I agree.
Yes. Our generation is probably 2 to 3 inches taller because of those print materials that she was able to produce, which included Bliss. Okay, that's why we're very familiar with it, because we see it every month. There's a new release, right?
That's us. Yep. That's us. Bliss made it easier for us to lubricate.
Yes. So it's smooth. It doesn't make calyo. It doesn't hurt. Whatever.
The sensation.
See, it comes full circle. Everyone that we love in life comes back to us. Oh, huh?
Who would have thought that the lubricant and the magazine would complement each other without the
Mhm.
power of social media?
And it
Diba?
will end up in this fucking
Ay,
episode.
sorry. Lumaya. But anyways, so great trip down memory lane. But Dennis, grabe 2-minute exposure yan.
Oh.
Anyways,
Send product sampling. Okay, there you
I'll
go.
make sure to give you product from them. So, but to the youngsters, to the Gen Z, it's a sunblock. But they're pretty known, especially on summer. I mean, the summer has just ended, but there's also like Beach Hut bar in Boracay. But anyway, so my initial role was into sales. I was handling specialty accounts and private label business development for like the SM bonus. It was a great experience as well because it was a different project, more keen on the business development side. Because like I opened up different accounts, like away from the general and modern trade. So I was getting into the mga mom and pop stores, pushing our products and selling it there. And within a short span of time, I was pretty impressed, humility aside, with myself, as in the sense that I hit the quotas and
Nice.
developed a product that a new product for the company. And thankfully, I mean, the company empowers young people, the younger generation. I mean, I was already back then. I was just 3 years graduate pa lang from college, so I'm not the typical 5-10 year experience of senior managers of whatever.
Yep.
But they empowered me. They trusted me, which I enjoyed. And
Nice.
the role country manager in Vietnam came about.
Why Vietnam? Because again, a beach hat is obviously a sunblock product, right? Just make sure that you put the right liquid, not the lubricant, into your back. Okay, make sure it's sunblock. It's white. Okay, that's how you know lubricants are freaking. There has no color there. So that's how you know. So why Vietnam? Typically, yes, it's a tropical country, subtropical or whatnot. But why that in all of Southeast Asia that you guys had to expand? And what was that experience like?
Well, two things. One, the mother company of Beach Hut already had like a company in Vietnam, or like at least like a tiny team. So for the practicality of things, But then second, when I moved in there, I didn't bring the sunblock. It wasn't the hero brand or the pioneer brand. It was a baby laundry detergent brand. So in 2012, 2011, there was an era of mga newborn babies. So so mabay kami with the development of that. But Smart Steps was the brand. It kind of like complements, or it had the same market research as the Philippine market. And I was the guy who brought in there. So like, yun yung pinaka nag-hone ng entrepreneurial skill ko, in the sense that we started out from scratch, literally from finding an office, product registrations, building a team, to even purchasing office materials. Talagang from zero to till however I left the company. And it was a great experience. I mean, Vietnamese language itself is the toughest. I didn't learn how to speak. I didn't know. I was enrolled by the company, but then I ended up quitting. And my aha moment was, you know what? I'll just get a girlfriend, and that's it. Like, I learned Vietnamese more and faster than learn going to school. But I learned the tricks of the trade in Vietnam. So yung products that I carried, I was able to list it into the SMs of Vietnam, the mass, the other Vietnamese companies. Talk to those. And in my 2.5 year stint in Vietnam, I was able to list the product, sell it out there to like 200 trade accounts.
Holy shit.
Into like half of Vietnam, even reached to Hanoi distribution.
Wow.
So, and I was 25, 26.
Nice. So how did that, so when you reach early success, and I want to talk about this because 25, 26, kids call it, and we all used to call it, quarter life crisis, right? And at 25, 26, if you are killing it, there is a chance, if you didn't have the right fundamentals, that it will go to your head and you're gonna be egotistic because you're killing it. Most 25, 26, it's even if there's a significant success, but there's FOMO. A lot of people always say, everybody napag-iwan na, everybody is killing it. I'm not killing it. But you were killing it at 25, 26, right? How did that develop you further, your confidence? And how did you stay grounded? Or did you have struggles also with overconfidence at one point?
No, great question. One, I wasn't so confident of myself. I would say if it wasn't for the support of the company, that's one.
And the Vietnamese girlfriend?
The Vietnamese girl.
Just kidding.
No, I mean, partly, yeah. My parents, of course, my mom, who would always tell me, what? You don't need to like quit, diba? And of course, myself. But anyway, it was tough. I didn't know it. I mean, again, I didn't know anything about Vietnam. I didn't even get to visit Vietnam prior to the post. I only went there when the assignment was already given, when the contracts were already signed, that I couldn't say no. In 2012, Vietnam was like, what? Siguro 2024, give a a Philippine province na sobrang backtrack pa na walang mga buildings, walang mga skyscrapers. So it was a province, English wasn't that much yet.
Yep.
So it was tough. I didn't know it all. I would, on meetings, I would bring in like my Vietnamese staff who would translate things, but then I would eventually understand. The most interesting one was that I have this big account. I really needed to like close that account because that was part of the goal. And then 3-4 times na meeting, up until bribery lang pala yung kailangan lang na padulas.
With bliss. Oh.
Next day, we were already listed. So it's more than confidence. I think it's just really trying to think out of the box. But then again, with all the support of the people who I was working with. But to your question also, it was the other way around. The reason why I left Vietnam, I think I'm only confessing it now after like 15 years or 10 years.
Hala! Don't get in trouble. Just kidding.
I mean, I'm good friends with the owners. So
Okay.
The only reason why I quit was at 25, I was thinking I was at the prime of my age. I was looking at my friends from the Philippines. Instagram was already starting, but Facebook and Multiply was the thing. Weekly, Fiamma, Embassy, Laborakay,
Republic.
Exactly. And I was like, shoot, while I am here working until wee hours, doing Excel sheets, translating to Vietnamese, all my friends are partying, I had the FOMO moment. And at the time, I felt like, shoot, I don't think if I deserve this success. Because earning that money, but I'm missing out a lot. I'm missing my youth. I'm missing my manhood, or like because of of being a corporate slave. That was the deciding factor for me. So I went home.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. And when you came home, was that the goal to live and also hustle at the same time? So is that the next hustle now here is you went to Yearnings Outsourcing Cooperative, which you spent almost 4 years. So you spent by far in your career, this is the longest time you spent up until before you went to the Bay Area. Was that the goal? So in your late 20s, before Katinko became a regular in your life, what was that like, and how did you approach it?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's like, that saying, you take a step back and then afterwards you take 2 steps forward. So for me, that was the mindset. That was the sign for me to like, all right, why don't I take a step back, which was moving back home, try to think things and absorb things, because I was already 25, very young, but then quarter life. But then again, I didn't want to do roles that are, I mean, I don't care about hierarchy, but I just felt like I have the confidence, I have the skills. I mean, if I made a company earn their millions in dong or billions in dong, why can't I still do the same thing or do bigger roles? So with the earnings, it was a different industry. So from consumer goods, I went to HR, but on the consumer services side, which was good, But then the thing that I liked about the role was that expanding it nationally. So for me at that time, I was thinking, okay, if I was able to expand in Vietnam or internationally or overseas, then I have the confidence to expand businesses into my own turf in
Absolutely.
motherland, diba? Hence, after a year of like coming back and working in Manila,
Mm.
I got the post of expanding the business of Yearnings from Manila to Cebu. I lived in Cebu for a year.
Got a Cebuana girlfriend.
Well, almost, but then Cebuanas never like mga people from Manila. They just like.
Yeah. No, not all the man.
I mean, not all,
Depends.
but there's this gap. I don't know now. I think wala nang.
I think it's still there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm friends with. I've met a lot of people over there, mga Cebu brat, the so-called Cebrats. But anyways, best time of my life as well, because at that time I didn't have any fears, because at the back of my mind, I lived in Vietnam with all foreigners, non-Filipinos. Why can't I live and blend with my own people?
Mm.
We're just different regionally, but I have the confidence. So yeah, that role not just gave me the opportunity to live in Cebu, but also expand the businesses in other key cities, Davao, Iloilo. So if it wasn't for Yearnings, I wouldn't be able to visit and know all those places. So from Iloilo to Bacolod to Davao to as far as Mindanao, Butuan.
What were the additional skills you developed there while you were in Yearnings? Because this is hard leadership. I mean, I'm pretty sure you did that also in Vietnam. But again, here's like full circle. You're doing it nationwide in the Philippines. I mean, you already have a solid background, people skills, sales skills. You feel like you're confident, you've proven, you have pedigree to show it, but you're still very early in your career. I mean, halfway, just a few years back. You're young. Not a lot of random muscles hurt. Your back is intact. Whatever. What were those skills that you developed over time there, or additional skills you added on top of your stack?
There were a few little, but then most of the hard skills that really went around those experiences were still on the sales, business development, customer success, accounts management. Of course, when I shift to another industry, I mean, like from FMCG to like HR. So when I went HR, I knew about labor laws, the basic dollar requirements, which I believe were essential. Understanding all those gamut of the business.
Yeah.
Soft skills, leadership was still there. Communication for sure.
Nice.
Again, it only differed in the language, because coming from Vietnamese to now Cebuano to Bisaya, it was humbling, but also great experience. But generally, the skills didn't change. It just became more enhanced. But don't get me wrong, I wasn't super confident. I guess like one of the things that made me like this is I never really wore the hat of the manager, or like the country manager, or the or the regional operations manager. I never felt it. I would still go to lunches with my team in the carinderia, ride a motorbike or a seom. That's how they call it in Vietnam, or the habal-habal in Bisaya. Do average things. Because again, I'm just a corporate slave. Like, so yes, until I felt like I got burnt out. I think 4 years after, within Yearnings, I was going 10th year.
You were yearning for something else.
I was yearning for something else.
Okay.
For sure. For sure. And I didn't know what to do. I was 28, I think, or 29. But then I got fed up with the usual hustle. It's like working, getting up early, going to the gym after work, going on drinks on Friday night, and then
Be stuck in traffic.
Stuck in traffic for sure. Getting wasted throughout the weekend.
Yep.
Sunday afternoons of like pagod, going to mass on Sunday afternoon, watching the buzz,
Yep.
usual. So Are you sure you remember?
What the fuck? I didn't know that was your that was
You
a
know,
highlight in your. I
you
know,
even
but I just didn't know that was a highlight in your weeknight.
it,
All right,
it
this.
fasting. Sunday evenings of like 4 p.m. after a family
Oh my
lunch,
god.
people would chill out, and then all of a sudden it's 4 or 5. You would hear the buzz, and then your
Yep.
family would be like, "Okay, let's now go to church."
Oh.
Next thing you know, you'd sleep, and then you'd go back to work. I
Oh
got
man.
fed up with that lifestyle.
Okay,
And
it's
I
the
need to,
buzz's fault, Tito Boy. I'm sorry.
boy,
Your
but
fault.
good times. Good times.
Suno. Okay.
um so yeah, that was
Oh.
my turning point of my life until it was very random moving to the Bay Area. At a young age, I had that American dream.
Yeah.
I mean, I think every Filipino, or if not every, most Filipinos have that
Yep.
greener pasture aspiration.
Mhm.
As to how and why San Francisco, I mean, I have relatives there, so it was easy. I mean, when we were younger, we would visit. Not until like, okay, what would be like the quickest way to escape the Philippines? Going to school, furthering my education.
Mm.
Yep. And I mean, I read about the uni, I read about the
Okay.
program, the MBA program. It was a fast track program. So I went to HALT, International Business School.
Nice.
They're pretty known, at least in the Bay, but they have their fair ranking throughout America and globally.
Mhm.
But then the thing that I liked about there was that one, it's very diverse. It's
Okay.
an international school. So like I've had classmates in the cohort from A to Z countries, from like Australia, Zimbabwe. I even have like a classmate who's a prince of Nigeria, which is weird. And
Wow. No, that guy's loaded investor material. Oh.
oh yeah, for
Mhm.
sure. And of course, well, San Francisco. But the other reasons, I wanted to also to be in the tech side of things. I mean, 2016, although Google's and Facebook's have always been there, but then 2016, it was also the year of when things became more innovative. And there's no other country or place, at the least with my mind, than the Bay Area or Silicon
Yep.
Valley. So fortunate enough, after I went to school, PS, when I also went to HALT, I was also elected as the batch, as a
Oh,
co-host.
there you go. It's
Still
the
had- still
blessing
had
and
it.
the curse that follows
I
you.
still had it. Exactly. I was surprised. I mean, no, only two Filipinos were there, one of which was me. So
Mhm.
at least I only got a vote, but then, an extra vote. But anyhow, I had that leadership skill.
Mhm.
And I got a job, fortunate enough to like land into two different companies throughout my Silicon Valley stint or Bay Area stint.
Mhm.
The rest was history. But then coming from the Philippines and bringing all those experiences, it just made more sense for me to be out there, to be stronger, to be more assertive, to be more confident, to be more knowledgeable, and to be more prepared.
Right.
Hence, I'm back to motherland, trying to reciprocate whatever I can through Pahatid.ph.
Okay. Now, before we take our last break, let's talk about the Bay Area grind. All right, because obviously this is called what it is. For those people who don't know, the Bay Area is one of the most expensive places in the world to live in. Okay, and good luck with the hills. If you have bad parking skills here, good luck there. You are gonna F it up, right? It's hills on hills on hills and traffic on traffic on traffic. But kidding aside, one of the most expensive places to go to live in and to make ends meet, right? And you've done it in Vietnam before, but the US is a totally different hustle, right? It's much more unforgiving and it's much more cutthroat. Yes, there's family. There's a bunch of Filipinos in Daly City in the next door, so don't worry. You still have the same food, but it's different. What were the struggles you encountered there? Because you were juggling between studying and also working, and at the same time you're trying to make ends meet. What was that the hustle like and struggle like?
The whole experience of living in the Bay Area was the most struggling era of my life.
But at least the Warriors were willing naman, so it's okay.
I was there every year at the in Oakland with all those
Yeah.
advantages. Yun na lang yung medyo good side of it. But it was the most struggling experience, at the same time most rewarding. Put it this way, financially, I mean, again, I wasn't prepared.
Yeah.
It was, I only had like 3 months to like decide and move to the Bay. The school started in September. I only started applying in June. I got in, but then when I kept on getting in, I realized the bottom line. How much was the tuition fee? Shit, I don't have this much money. Or at least that's it for my whole 10-year work experience
Yep.
savings. But I'm not prepared. The only sign that I said yes was that I got like a scholarship of like 35% less.
Yep.
But still, it's expensive.
Dude, it
Crazy.
adds up right away. If you want that in and out, sorry, in and out is once a month lang. I'm sorry. Okay.
I know. I get you with that. So financially, I wasn't prepared. But then, so when I got in there, the good thing would be good, quote unquote, was a family. But typical Filipino families, so I think it's pretty self-explanatory as to how Filipino families are. In the beginning, it would be good. As it gets longer, it's not so good.
Yeah.
But thankfully, my family there was kind of supportive, but there were some issues. But anyways, till I finish up, before I even finish a program, I started trying to look for under the table jobs. As flipping dishes, I was doing some under the table jobs. They're decent naman, but nothing. It's illegal in the sense that by law it's not allowed. But then that was on the last quarter of my school because I was already depleted.
Yeah.
Like, dude, where am I gonna get the money? But then yun nga. I mean, I worked into a diner. I worked into a bar. I worked into a gym. Those mga standalone gyms and standalone businesses.
Right.
Because it's easier. It's paid under. I mean, it's paid lower than the minimum, but at least it contributes to what I need.
It's a paycheck.
Exactly. So I was almost living on a paycheck to paycheck. Until we were legally allowed to like already work.
Nice.
And I kept on applying hundreds of different companies. I would cut classes to attend interviews. And, with my perseverance, I landed into a job.
Nice.
Very first American job, which was by rule. It was an advertising tech company. It was one of the biggest back then in the Bay. The biggest and the fastest in downtown, whatever. Like if anyone has been to to San Francisco, it's within that market street, Embarcadero Market. So it was just a dream for me, going to the bar, walking the streets of Financial District or FIDA, how they call it, Market Embarcadero.
Yep.
For tourist lang sa akin yun eh. But then back then now, I'm
That's where Ant-Man went. There.
yeah. And Pursuit of Happiness.
Yes.
Will
There
Smith.
you go.
But yeah, tried a lot of different things. But you're correct. It's a struggle. It's the most expensive. Statistically, this was 2021, if I'm not mistaken. In the Bay Area, you're considered
Poor.
below income level or poor, aka if you're earning less than $90,000 a year.
Do you know how much $90,000 per year is? Okay, let me do the math, huh? 90K
Roughly
times
5M.
58. That's 5.2 M. If you have
So-
5.2 M in the Philippines, you are
You're-
fucking killing it.
Exactly. Per year, huh? Per year.
Annualized,
Exactly.
right?
So, and I didn't even reach the thing. you
The
know?
threshold. Yeah.
Exactly. And landing into jobs, I wouldn't say it's racism, but then siguro it's just a typical, okay, you came from Southeast Asia. Even my Vietnam stint wasn't really like credited with the jobs. I mean, it's a tech place, tech community. What would my Vietnamese stint do with, a tech company?
Yep.
But I was just fortunate. And of course, a lot of prayers. I'm a very prayerful. I mean, not the most religious, but then I pray. But
The
to that
LSM
point-
good boy in you. There you go.
Franciscan, diba? So yeah, I mean, when I got the job, I just stayed in there. I was very grateful. For me, yung mindset ko, where I needed to reciprocate loyalty and of course the skills and the tasks that I needed to do. Because they're the only company who said yes to me. I stayed loyal even up to the pandemic the CEO support. The CEO was Russian American. He's older than I'm older than him by a year. But he would support me all the way. I mean,
That's
like with
great.
work, of course. And but yeah, I mean, summing it all up, Bay Area experience, San Francisco, even made me better and stronger and this as to wherever I am with Pahatid.ph.
That's amazing. Now let's take our last break, and when we come back, we will now talk about Pahatid.ph and how did you go from the Bay Area all the way back to Ortigas. Ortigas is where you'll be drawn. So if I ever get lost in Ortigas, I know now where to call. We'll talk about that more after the break.
Hey hustlers, wish there was an easy way to open a bank account and grow your money without the hassle of lengthy application process and income documents? Well, I got good news because today's sponsor, Uno Digital Bank, is here to help you achieve your financial goals. You can easily open an account with the Uno app in just 5 minutes and one valid ID. And as one of the 6 digital banks licensed by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the company is committed to providing customers with simpler, better, and more accessible banking. Last year, Uno Bank was recognized by the Asia Banking and Finance Awards and bagged the title Open Banking Initiative of the Year due to the success of its partnership with GCash, one of the Philippines' leading mobile wallet platforms. And with the Uno mobile app, you can access an hashtag Uno Ready savings account and enjoy daily interest crediting. With their hashtag Uno Earn or hashtag Uno Boost time deposit accounts, you can enjoy a high interest rate of up to 6.5% per annum. Enjoy monthly payouts with hashtag Uno Earn and flexible tenors with hashtag Uno Boost. Other app features include pay bills, the Uno Virtual Debit MasterCard, life insurance, scan and pay with QRPH, and phones. And the one thing that I really love about Uno Digital Bank is they're open to collaborate with a lot of Filipino startups. I've had a chance to see the partnerships that they've had lined up with the startups that they have, and it's truly exciting to see how a digital bank like Uno can enable startups to unlock the power of fintech through digital banking. So if you're ready to elevate your banking experience, download the Uno mobile app today from the Google Play Store or App Store. Or if you want to collaborate with them, I'll be happy to give you an intro. Just shoot us an email at hello@hustleshare.com. Hey hustlers, how many apps are you using at work these days? 5, 10, 20? Let's face it, there are chat apps for internal communication and emails for external, Cloud Drive for docs and wikis, calendars and video conferencing, spreadsheets and project management software, and probably yet another tool to connect them all. It is a mess. And if you're collaborating with cross-border colleagues, partners, or suppliers, it gets even more complicated. And don't you find it disruptive when your personal and business messages get mixed up? And if this sounds painfully familiar, switch to Lark, the leading super app for work designed to increase your team's productivity by 10x at an unbelievable fraction of the cost. With Lark, manage projects, chat with your team, build a knowledge base with wikis, and automate workflows such as approvals without code effortlessly from one app. No switching or integration needed. Join fast-growing companies in over 125 countries, including Xiaomi, Glint, and the Philippines' very own Kumu and Mama Luz, who trust Lark as their workplace super app. I've started using Lark myself for our pressure washing business service, Papa Pressure, and I'm totally loving it. Want to see how Lark can revolutionize your business? Click the link in the description or download Lark for free at larksuite.com. That's larksuite.com, the productivity super app every business needs.
And we're back in the break. We are still with Chris Guzman and told us the story and the hustle in the Bay Area before he decided to go back. And of course, we're going to be talking about Pahatid. But a couple of things I want to know. So again, prior to the break, you mentioned that that was a struggle. But in struggle, there's always learnings, right? What did you discover about yourself going through rejection after rejection, making ends meet, trying to, that hustle, that survival hustle? Like for me, I when you're a wartime CEO, when you're at that mode already, it's a skill you have to unlock. And I credit those early years of struggle hustle that I did during my early 20s when in my first few startups, especially in Party File. that even if it's super tough and by in terms of how the odds are always against us in terms of likelihood to succeed, heck, we're still fucking around. Where PNA is almost 5 years old. It wasn't easy. This is easily the hardest 12-month stretch of my life since last June. But hey, we're still around. We're not thriving, but we're fucking getting by. And the only reason I'm able to get that done and getting that fortitude to actually plow through is I always tell myself, dude, you've been here before. What's different, right? The only different now is before, I'm trying to make ends meet for myself and my family. Now I'm trying to make ends meet for everyone in my payroll, and also making sure that I give my investors my best effing effort. Because one thing that I cannot guarantee results, but thank God we've always been able to make ends meet. But the only thing I can control is really the effort. And thankfully, the results follow through. There are months that are really rough. But again, it just plows through. But for you, what were the things that you learned about yourself through this? And once you master that skill, you become less afraid and you become more even keeled of how fucked up and how difficult life can be. And again, you see the silver linings beyond what you see in plain sight.
Yeah, that was a great question. Generally, everything's a humbling experience.
Mhm.
Like when I was building up my story, coming from the first few companies that I worked with to Vietnam and then to the Bay, and then now starting over again. You just said earlier from the Bay back to Ortigas, that itself was humbling. I mean, again, I didn't move back by choice. I moved back by out of choice because I lost a job.
Oh.
I lost a job during the pandemic. They rehired me. Not until I decided to I needed to move forward. And
So wait, you lost a job in the middle of the pandemic in the Bay Area.
Yes. I mean, because I was from the ad tech company to an electric mobility scooters, GoX. I mean, there were no people on the street. So we had no business. So I went back home.
How did you make ends meet during that stretch?
No, I mean, the hard lockdown.
Yeah.
I had no job. Pahatid was my lifesaver. I mean,
but where were you? Were you here? Or?
Okay. No. So I moved back, literally. So I was on the last flight on March 20, last flight of Philippine Airlines.
Wow.
And they were announcing that that's it. If you don't get into the flight, we're not sure as to when it would resume.
Shit.
But there were also personal reasons. My family was telling me, just come home, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I hopped onto
it's
the
safer
plane.
in Ortigas than San Francisco.
Yeah. Humbling experience to that point. And then you're correct. If you've already experienced the worst. I also heard this from a podcast of, I don't want to be too political, but then I've heard the podcast of attorney Lenny Robredo.
Mm-hmm.
But then when she was asked how is she able to handle all the bashing, and she was saying that she'd already experienced the worst, the toughest, which is when Jesse had passed away. So what more can she ask for? There's nothing worse than that. So now, if a certain bash would be this, it's not worse than losing a husband. The same with me. I was depleting money. I mean, the most memorable, I think I didn't get to share. I've had my last $300 of money from my savings in my 10-year work experience. I had my last $300, 15,000 pesos at that time.
Yep.
That was nerve-wracking. Like you were saying, once a month in and out. At that phase, I didn't have in and out for 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean,
and there was no Pampangas best to go to. Everything's expensive.
Even the Seafood City, which is the known grocery supermarket for Filipinos, expensive.
Correct.
A stick of puto or whatever is an arm and a leg. So they're bragging. I can't even buy a cup of taho because it was what, $6-7.
Yep.
So to that point, I had an enlightenment. Faith and fate worked in hand in hand, and I just kept going. Because you just really need to keep moving forward. There's no other person, the other realizations. There's no other person who can help you out but yourself. That's one. I mean, the very first thing that you should have on your mindset. But then second, I also realized that there's no shame in reaching
Asking
out
for
to your
help.
family.
Correct.
So I mean, at that time when I moved to the Bay, personally, I've had issues with my family.
Mhm.
Thought and thinking that I'm the most independent offspring or the most independent sibling. I can do this. If I made it to Vietnam, I can make it to the Bay. I made it to Cebu, I can make it to California.
Mhm.
But then, and only a few people can do that. And it's not
Yeah.
for everybody. It's not for everybody. So reaching out to family was another thing. And siguro I somewhat regret that how I wish that I'd reached out at an earlier phase. But then again, things happen for a reason. But had they done that, I think it would have been simpler or
Yeah.
whatever. So I think those top two for me. Everything else, of course, there's a lot on the list, but it's a very humbling experience. And I
Yeah.
think as a leader, I think that's what most leaders should have up to now, even if it sounds basic. But if you don't keep your feet on the ground, I know it's cliche, but it's going to eat you up. One of my
Yep.
favorite quotes from the CEO of Disney, he was saying that the moment you wear your CEO hat is the moment that you lose your sense of leadership or your sense of person, diba?
Totally understand.
That's when you become like, I'm this, that.
Yeah,
So,
totally agree. And again, a lot of the people that really want the CEO hat don't understand what being a CEO means. Because it's people always think that, wow, such glitz and glamour. CEO, if they feel like you're wearing a crown. When in reality, that CEO is more a cross than a crown. It's a cross you bear and you cannot get rid of it. Because once you take it on, it's yours. You're wedged to it. You have to carry it around. And sometimes they form in not just one cross, they come in multiple crosses and boulders or whatever you want. You have to bear it around. But I want to now understand, right? So I love what you said about humbling yourself and asking for help. Because as a founder, you're right. The buck stops with you. And you need to take ownership of whatever happens in your business. It is your responsibility. You cannot play the blame game. It stops with you. The scorecard is always the scorecard of how well you're doing as a business. Whether you put your best effort or not. Sorry, effort doesn't count. Results only matter in this type of game. But the second thing too is that pride don't pay the bills. As a founder and CEO, you need to understand that even in your best effort, the results that you want or you need to achieve will never come to fruition if it's just going to be your own effort alone. 9 times out of 10, you need help. And that help will come from your network, from your friends, family, or whoever. Blah, 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 blah. So when you got this done, I want to understand now, Chris, how did that turn into Pahatid? So you already told us earlier why you did Pahatid, so we can already skip that a bit. But how were you able to muster the funds to start Pahatid at the start?
the first 2 years of Pahatid were self-funded. It's all me. Because again, it was just a passion over profit project. I didn't think that it would.
How are you making ends meet if you're technically back to zero? Almost.
I mean, so I went back home from the US. I brought in my money. And I was rehired in 2021. But then working remotely, so I had
so at least you're able to cover yourself.
Working remotely and just going to the US for like 2 months to like work on site. So I had a recoup of some of the saved money that I've lost. But anyhow, so everything was self-funded. But then another trait as to how I built up Pahatid was that I wasn't the typical type of CEO who would burn a lot of money. Napaikot ko lang siya. Like when I had that, I would only hire new writers if I have like a new client. So I would only make merchandises, uniforms, or bags if I have new writers. It's to some, maybe people would think that it's not cost efficient, but for me, the most cost efficient is if you can afford it.
Correct.
So that's how I roll. And that's how I roll the funds. Up until 2 years after, we just turned 4 actually.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. it was only lately that I've been asking for some additional funds as a support. I mean, team is growing, team has grown, cash flow has grown.
How
you
big
know.
is your team now?
Well, it's still pretty small. We're a team of 25, already counting. I mean, the delivery riders are counted within the 25. But
Still, that's 25 souls and their families that you have to worry about.
Exactly. Actually, that's hitting me on a personal level. Like, oh wow, you were saying the cross earlier. I pretty understand that.
Yep.
Yeah. So financially speaking, cash flow is super running fast. You would have big accounts for the week, but then you would realize that you would collect it after a week or two after, wherein there would be like another deliveries of but it's an investment and it's a circle. It's a ball, diba? So that's the lately challenge, but it's a good problem. But I can't do that anymore. I mean, I don't want to. Thankfully, wala pa namang day or like time that we don't have payroll muna because of this, and thankfully none yet. And I don't think that we're getting there. We're positive at the least, But and then thankfully the space where we at right now, it's a pretty stable space in the sense that e-commerce is growing. There's a lot of delivery requirements, and we're just happy on the niche market who do we deliver with.
Right. And you know what? I'm very, very curious because obviously let's just call this market what it is. It's cutthroat. But you're carving a space where you're not playing the market share game because everybody else is, right? Because the nature of VC, they're funded by VC or whatever. That's the scorecard they're running to. You ran this as a tech-enabled service business by default, right? And it's all you're running at your own pace. You're not like, hala, Grab or Lalamove or Move It or whoever or Angkas is getting market share. Who cares, right? That's how you know that it's a really big market. Because if it's a market where multiple people can win, whatever winning might be, market share, profitability, whatever, then it's a big market where people can thrive. And that's what I'm curious about. So you're running your own business. It's carving out your own pace. You have your own repeat clients. How did you then build two things, the tech and the team, to build around it?
Yeah, great question. So I start off with the team. So one of the missions of the team was to really help employ people during the pandemic. My goal is, basta, regardless of what magkano kitain mo, as long as Pahatid gets to support that or contribute to that financial goal that you have, then I'm happy. So I pretty much built a good solid team in the sense that riders per se, 8 out of 10 riders that we have right now are still the same riders who we had from day one.
Wow.
And I'm happy about that.
Wow.
So that's one. With the team, of course, I mean, it's tough to also especially with new people. Oh, what's Pahatid? How do you guys differ like that? Are you stable? I mean, I'm just transparent and honest. I would tell them that we're a 4-year-old company. We're stable, but not fully funded. But we pay the basic compliances, government compliances. So that should be enough security for you. But other than that, I make sure to also do some small initiatives. I make it to a point once a month. I do breakfast with my team, with the riders.
Nice.
I provide them coffee, of course, basics, water. But we dine out or we eat out. I bring in food. That's a small thing.
Yeah.
Just food, but there's a conversation with it. I don't think if the CEO grabbed, nothing against him, or if this CEO had ever even met the riders. I mean, there are thousands, but had he ever had a coffee with that rider? Diba? I mean, we're a small team. It's manageable. But to my point, that's how I built a solid team. That's one.
Got it.
Side of things, we don't have an app. We have a website. We're pretty active on social media. But since our attack is a business to business delivery solutions, so we just make sure that all the clients who we work with, who we partner with, are proactively responded to. So and that's a check, because two things that we found out as their pain points was, one, they didn't like to deal with the technology in the sense that even though that they have a fancy dashboard or a fancy app, But then whenever that they would follow up like a concern, how long does it take? Who's accountable? Who's responsible? Only up they never really wanted to like speak with a bot. Whereas here's Pahatid.ph. We have a group platform or a group chat or of whatever. We would actively respond to your questions and we deliver products, then it gets the job done. So tech side, we're not yet fully heavy on the tech, but we do get the job done and correctly and responsibly. So that's how we work. Generally.
That is amazing. Again, unfortunately, I really want to take more time and talk about Pahatid. I have a hard stop. But again, Chris, if people want to check you out and again want to work with you guys, just like the amazing customers that you guys have, where do they go and how do they do that?
Ron, thank you very much. I mean, it's really a pleasure to be here at the Hustleshare. But people can do reach us out. I mean, the simplest way, www.pahatid.ph on our website. There should be like a chat box that would pop out. Otherwise, social media pages, Instagram, Facebook. There's we're very responsive. It's also connected to my phone app, so I would be able to like respond easily. And that's it. We're happy with the growth of where we are, with the organic growth at where we're going, and hopefully that we get to expand more and be out there.
Thank you so much, Chris. But before I let you go, follow us on whatever podcast app you're listening to, at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. And if we did say some jargon, it's going to be the show notes on hustleshare.com. And again, thank you to our premium supporters and brand to support Hustleshare through the years. But again, if you also want to support us, just like those brands, you can go to premium.hustleshare.com. And again, Chris, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's been an honor. I'm excited and I really enjoyed the conversation. So yeah, it's just fun. You know, I would take this as a memorable interview. Thank you.
Appreciate it. And again, I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace.